for coming back to the OK Boomer Show. I'm really glad to see you again. I really appreciate you coming here. And today we're going to talk about, sometimes in life you have to make a 180-degree turn and drop everything you're currently doing and just go after what you want. Just go directly to your dream. And that's exactly what I did. I just wanted to share that with you today because sometimes we just need to hear it. Because my previous video, we were talking about how I was modeling in high school, and then when I went to community college, I was modeling because a lot of the photography students wanted to use me as a model. So I kind of decided, because New York was really getting more and more dangerous, the city was dirty and crime-ridden, there was a lot of drugs and crime, and I was becoming more and more anxious, and I just didn't want to stay in a community college. And somebody I knew was teaching Christopher Reeve, the actor in Superman. They were teaching him how to speak Italian. And they learned from Christopher Reeve that Christopher Reeve went to this acting school in the West Village called HB Studio. So I was saying to my friend, I said, I don't know, it must be a fortune to go there. And, I don't think I can afford it, but I'll check into it. So I find out that HB Studio, all these celebrities actually train there. Let me name a few, F. Mary Abrams, Anne Bancroft, Candice Bergen, Peter Boyle, Matthew Broderick, Stockard Channing, Billy Crystal, Robert De Niro, Faye Dunaway, Whoopi Goldberg, Harvey Korman, Jessica Lange, Bette Midler, Liza Minnelli, Al Pacino, Marlo Thomas, Barbara Streisand, Sigourney Weaver. The list goes on and on of all these celebrities and stars that studied at the school in Manhattan. So I was like, well, let me check it out. I probably way over my head as far as price, but I called them and there were only one acting class, one scene study class was only $119 for 19 weeks. I couldn't believe it. I was like, you gotta be, am I hearing right? I can go to the best school in New York City, one of the best schools. This HB Studio was so inexpensive. And I was like, why was it so inexpensive? Because all these, famous people trained to be actors there and they became stars. So I found out when I went there that this gentleman, Herbert Berghoff, he was an actor from Vienna, and he started the school in 1945. And the reason he makes it so inexpensive is because he believes that everybody should have the craft of acting available to them, even the immigrant and the bricklayer. So in the school, when you go up and down the staircase from one class to the next class, there's this giant picture, a poster of this, immigrant kid or man really, who's, I think it looks like the picture's taken in the 1930s or something. And he's just a bricklayer or, a cement guy. And his picture is there just to remind us of, how acting and the craft of acting should be available to everyone. And that's what Herbert Berghoff wanted to achieve. And I think he really achieved that because I'm like, oh my God, I can actually go to a really good acting school with professional teachers who teach actual, stars, people who became successful in the business by training here. And I get to go too, even though I'm from a lower middle class neighborhood where there's not much opportunity and not much resources. And I was like, I am the richest person in the world. I am so rich. I felt rich. I felt so privileged. Because I didn't have to go, I couldn't afford to go to Juilliard. I couldn't afford to go to London and, study with these, aristocrats. I couldn't afford that. But I just knew that, when I walked into the studio and I looked around, I could take fencing for $119 for 19 weeks. I could take speech, I could take singing, I could take dance, and like everything was so inexpensive. So right away, I just left college. I got a job as a secretary, administrative assistant, because I typed 100 words per minute with only 3 errors. I took stenography at 130, 135 words per minute. And it was easy for me to get a job at that time because of my skills, because those skills were in demand. And although it didn't pay a lot of money, it was more than retail. So I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this, like this I can do. So I did get my first, administrative assistant job. And I was like so excited because like after I get like $200 for the week, I could get an acting class like for the whole semester for $119. And so also my plan was like to create my own college curriculum. So I took another class, a dance class, because I wanted to take the dance of Isadora Duncan. And it's a very obscure class, and there were only a few instructors teaching it. So I went to the school where this woman instructor was teaching the dance of Isadora Duncan, and the class was only $5 a class. So I'm like, okay. And then I took guitar lessons. Now, guitar lessons were the most expensive, but it was still very inexpensive because it was $20 per week, but I was actually learning how to play music immediately. Like, they didn't teach you how to read music, they just taught you how to play immediately. So I was playing songs within 2 weeks. So, and then I wanted to take drawing, because I was been drawing since I was a little kid. So I went to the School of Visual Arts, but they wanted $200 per class for the semester, for one drawing class. I couldn't afford it. So I found this place down in the village. It was this guy, right? This guy had this basement in Soho, and it was a dark, dingy, smelly basement. It was really large, but he would have nude models there every week, like every Saturday morning and every Sunday morning, really early, like 8 o'clock in the morning. And 20 or 30 people would be in this big basement, and we would draw the model and practice. And then we would just chip in a couple of bucks, to the nude model, and then the model would make, like maybe $60 or $70 that day for just 2 hours work, which was pretty decent money for 2 hours work. And then we would get to learn how to draw. So I was like, that's inexpensive, so I would do that too. So I had but also, it wasn't just the classes, because you had to like spend time at home practicing the guitar, then you had to go to scene study, but you had to practice with your scene partner, and then you had to go to the drama bookstore and look for plays and read a lot of plays, and then you had to buy psychology books and spend time, delving into psychology and what makes the character do what they do, why do they make the decisions they make. So there's a lot of research involved, and there's a lot of practice involved, while you're learning how does the character walk, how do they talk, what are their vulnerabilities, what are their strengths. So there's a lot of research. So when you go in and do a 5-minute scene in class, it's like you're preparing for like three weeks just to put on a 5-minute scene. So a lot of stuff is done at home and homework and research. So it's all about preparation, And so I was just so impressed with this man from Vienna. Like, he just really loved people because he wanted to make acting available to the layman, to the bricklayer, to the delivery boy, to anybody who wanted to learn how to act. And that was so impressive to me, because you really care about people learning something and not making it so expensive and so out of reach for them to experience. And I found my passion, I found where I belonged. I was always so happy to be there. I was always and then the other great thing, I got to meet people from all over the country. Like, in community college, everybody's the same age pretty much, and they all come from the same neighborhood. But when you go to acting school in Manhattan, you're meeting people from all walks of life and all parts of the country, and like everywhere across the country. And everybody was like, they spoke well, they were kind, they were enthusiastic. And there were people from all ages. So you were in a class, not just people your age, but adults started around 19 and up. So we had like 19, 20-year-olds, and then we had 35-year-olds, and we had 32-year-olds. We had 45-year-olds and 55-year-olds. Like everybody was different ages. I mean, the average age was in their 30s. And also we had a lot of working actors who were already working in the business, you know, commercials, theater, film, and they would come to HB Studio to just practice their craft. And continue to learn, because acting is a continuous, ongoing learning experience. And Herbert Berghoff wanted to make sure that people had the opportunity to continue to practice their art.